Also in 1.2 are stretches. So this example will be about stretches. So we'll start off with a function. We'll call it again y equals f of x. I like this function for this one just because it's a nice curve. Hopefully it looks kind of round too. It's supposed to be a semicircle with a radius of 4. That's what this equation describes. So I've labeled a few points on there. Now what we're going to be asked is they want us to sketch y equals f of 2x. So the 2 is being multiplied by the x, which, as we've seen before, usually results in something horizontal happening. The correct description of this is that it's a horizontal stretch about the y-axis by a factor of a half. Now in everyday English, it means that every point is going to be half as far from the y-axis as it is now. So a point that's on the y-axis, like the y-intercept, will actually be invariant to stay the same. A point like negative 4, 0 will now become negative 2, 0, exactly half as far as it was before. Positive 4, 0 becomes positive 2, 0. And if I sketch in the curve of this one, it's no longer a semicircle, it's still a curve, but a different size curve. Still just as tall as it was before, but exactly half as wide. So that results in a horizontal stretch. If I were to write the equation of this, the square root of 16 minus brackets 2x squared. Whatever was happening to x before now happens to 2x. If you put that into your graphing calculator along with the original, you should see a picture that looks pretty much like what we have there. The second stretch I want to do is a vertical stretch. And so if we're asked in part B to sketch y equals 3f of x, that's what we're going to see. This one will result in a vertical stretch about the y-axis by a factor of 3. If you're worried about it doesn't look like I've done something to y, another way to write this is 1/3 y equals f of x, if you want to stay consistent with what we did before. So when we multiply things by the x, horizontal stretches happen. When we multiply things by the y, vertical stretches happen. Now to actually draw this, I'm going to need a bit bigger graph, so I'll draw that now. So I've redrawn the original graph here, just like I zoomed out a little bit. So it's still the semicircle with a radius of 4. The x-intercepts, y-intercepts labeled. Now I want to vertically stretch that by a factor of 3. So every y-coordinate is going to be multiplied by 3, which means that these x-intercepts don't go anywhere. They'll be invariant. But instead of being at 0, 4, I'm going to be at 0, 12. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And this thing once again stops being a semicircle and becomes a curve like this, much taller than it is wide. If I label this point up here, 0, 12 is the new y-intercept. So there you have a horizontal stretch and a vertical stretch.